What's going on, everyone, from LowKick MMA? My name is Podolsky. I am joined with UFC veteran Justin, the Guitar Hero Jaynes. He is set to return to combat on February 10th when he takes on Carson Hardman. Justin, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, man, always a pleasure jumping on and talking with you, Danny.
So, this fight with Carson Hardman, you guys were booked at one point, you know, rescheduled. Now the fight comes up on February 10th. How's training going, and when do you leave for California?
No, this fight's gonna be in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, Carson Hardman, PFL vet, super tough dude. We were scheduled to fight back in November. Unfortunately, I was suspended by the California State Athletic Commission, so they had to call the fight off, which really sucks because man, I fucking hate the California State Athletic Commission. I think there's a lot of. I'm not saying every single one of them is bad, but the majority of them aren't great, man. And so, in my after my fight, they gave me a terrible ruling. Then they suspended me for 30 days, and that fight was like I think it was like 25 days after my fight. So by the 30-day suspension, I wasn't allowed to compete. We had to cancel the bout, and now we're rescheduled February 10th.
So, talk to me about that last fight. You lost to Chris Padilla, a lot of shots to the back of the head. We pushed for it to be overturned. I pushed for it on my podcast. I thought that fight should have been overturned. Talk to me about the ruling.
Yeah, man, it was very emotional time for me to say the least, man. Chris, and I'm not taking anything away from my opponent, dude. Super tough dude. He's a vet. He's been around for a long time, man. But to lose the way I did, it wasn't like the first round was a close round. Some people scored it for me, some people scored it for him. At the very end of the round, he got a takedown with like 10 seconds left. I can't remember exactly how it happened. Oh no, fuck! What am I talking about? I think I ended up on his legs. He elbowed me in the back of the head a couple times. I rolled to my back, conceded position, and kind of ended the fight on my back. I go to Chris Lieben in between rounds. I'm like, hey man, he hit me in the back of the head. Can you? Why? I didn't ask. I wasn't contesting. Like, hey, what the fuck? Like, take a point away. I just did. Hey, all I said to him was, hey man, he hit me in the back of the head. Can you watch that? And Chris looks at me and says, he didn't hit you in the back of the head. And I was just like, well, you're a fucking idiot. And you obviously have brain damage because I have a hematoma and cut on the back of my head. So go fuck yourself. Second round comes out again, barn brawling around. We're having great. I sat him down a couple times with some leg kicks. I threw a high kick in there. He caught it, took me down, took my back, and Chris Lieben jumped in prematurely as he was elbowing me in the back of the head. As soon as Chris jumped in, I stand up. I'm like, what the fuck? He's hitting me in the back of the head. Chris says, no, he wasn't again. I tell Chris that I said it to him, like, hey, dude, I'm going to contest this fight. And he goes, you go ahead and contest this fight. And I contested it, went to trial, and I lost. So, I mean, if you guys want to check out the Instagram video of me breaking down the fight round by round, instance by instance, it's on my Instagram, JAY09MA is my Instagram handle. And man, you guys tell me what you think, man. I thought it was bullshit. But again, it's a California fighter, it's a California commission, it's a California judge or a California ref. So I assume they wouldn't have it in my favor.
Yeah, I can test. So first of all, I obviously was invested in it, and yeah, the California State Athletic Commission, from my end, made a big screw up on that one. They should have overturned that. I thought it was pretty clear that those shots were to the back of the head. I just made the mistake of thinking your fight was in California. It's in Salt Lake City, so my apologies on that.
I know
But
where.
let me ask you, would you fight again in California?
Dude, one up next fighting, which has been an incredible promotion. George, the promoter, is just fucking awesome. But man, I've fought in California a couple times, and I always, whether I win or lose, I always leave with a bad taste in my mouth. Excluding when I fought for this other thing called Explode Fight Series, which was a lot of fun. Like that was on an Indian reservation. It was just a wild hillbilly organization. They didn't have the commission involved. But every time I fought in California, the commission's been involved. I always 100% leave with a sour taste in my mouth. I remember the first time I fought, and I beat a really tough guy. I can't remember what his name was off the top of my head. They were harassing. I can't remember. I know I missed weight. I called ahead of time. I called a couple weeks. I'm like, hey, dude, I can't make 155 in 3 or 4 weeks. They're like, well, we'll just do the best you can. And then when I missed weight, they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you missed weight. The commission's like, oh, and you have to stay under this weight for tomorrow. And I was just like, dude, I called you guys fucking a month ago before I signed the contract. I said, this is going to be a very tough weight cut for me. I only have 4 weeks to make weight. And all that you told me was get as close as I can. The second time I fight Tommy Aaron, again, super tough vet of the sport. I drop him in the first round. Boom, left uppercut, overhand right, drop him flat on his back. He sits up. I guillotine him. I end the round in round. I end the round in mount. And I end up losing a split decision. And I'm not mad about losing the split decision. I'm mad at the judging. Adelaide Bird, who to me is fucking trash. She's blind, she's hideous, and she's a fucking idiot when it comes to combat sports. And I say this in every podcast that I mention her. And if she sees it, go fuck yourself, bitch. Like, you've screwed me out of, you've given me 27 rounds. So I've lost two split decisions with her on the panel. And both split decisions I lost, she scored the fight against me 30-27. Danny, I hit this guy with an uppercut. Bang, bang, dropped him flat on his back. I was like, oh, fight's over. I jump on him. He survives. I guillotine him, saved by the bell. And she scored the round for him. This is how fucking dumb this woman is. And she, whether maybe she's too old or maybe she just doesn't like me because every time her name's mentioned, I go on rants like this, but she's trash and she needs to get the hell out of combat sports.
When it comes to, all right, so with Adelaide Bird, have you had any face-to-face interaction with her?
Zero. And that's why it's so confusing to me. When I fought Charles Roast, I'm sure you saw that fight. She was on that panel. She was the judge that scored at 30-27 against me. When I heard it was 30-27, I was like, oh shit. Maybe one of the judges gave it to me because there's no way Charles won 3 rounds. He never had me hurt, never had me in a submission. He never had me in any dangerous position. How can you score this fight? I had him rocked multiple times. I had him in a side choke. I had him in mount. I mean, how can you score every round against me? It just doesn't make sense. And whether she's crooked or just an idiot, she doesn't need to be on the panel.
So you're talking about Adelaide Bird and clearly the screw up with the California State Athletic Commission. What do you think is sort of the solution to the problem of bad judging and bad refereeing?
Don't fight in California. I'll never promote a fighter who fight in California, man. Unfortunately, when I took that fight against Padilla, it's not unfortunate, man. I had an opportunity to fight for a great organization. And when you sign these contracts as fighters and when you've been around for as long as I have, you don't think like, oh, the commission's going to give me a hard time. I fought in Ontario, Canada too. Same thing, man. I just didn't care for their commission, man. Like I California to me has been the worst, and maybe they're an okay commission, and I've just had multiple bad experiences with them, and everybody else had great experience. But man, Chris Lieben, you're better than that. You're an old school UFC vet. You're better than that. Adelaide Bird, I don't even know what you're doing in boxing. You're trash, and the whole commission, and that's the thing. There's just no accountability. I knew trying to contest that fight, it was going to be near to impossible because again, Chris Lieben, UFC veteran, California guy. Chris Padilla, California guy, California commission. I'm Justin Jaynes. At the end of my career, there's no chance they're ever going to rule it for me, but someone needs to be held accountable because this isn't a game. I don't fight on the weekends for fun. I fight on the weekends for money and for a paycheck, and results like Chris Lieben gave me can be career ending.
Are you at the end of your career?
I don't know yet. I mean, for me, I'm always going to fight. When I say the end of my career, so let me rephrase. Let me explain what I mean by when I say end of my career. I'm always going to fight. When I'm 40 years old, 45, 50, until my body genuinely cannot do it anymore, I'm going to do it. Regardless of my age. When I say career, I mean money-making opportunities. I mean, Dude, I'm getting 1,000 to go fight Chris Hardman, PFL vet. $1,000 to make weight, $1,000 to win. Dude, I'll lose $2,000 in playing poker in a night. Like, this is not life-changing money. This is not built. It doesn't even cover my rent for my house for a fucking month. It's especially after 30% taxes, 20% to coaching, 10% to management. All right. So now where are we at? 20-60%. So I say I make $1,000. Say I lose the fight, I make $400. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, Danny, you come to Vegas, fuck, we'll spend $400 on the first blackjack table we go to.
So after that Padilla fight, what is your career goal at this point?
My career goal is I want to travel the world. I want to continue to travel the world, and I want to make good memories. And my son's getting older, so in the next couple of years, he's going to be able to corner me in all my fights. And I will tell you that for the California, they did me one solid. My son was underage. He was 14 at the time. They allowed him to be in my corner without a corner license, and I genuinely appreciate that. I really, really do. But that's the only good thing they've ever done for me.
Having lost that fight to Padilla, it's not going to be overturned. Do you think there's still hope that you could make it back to the UFC?
I mean, the goal, that's always the goal, regardless of where I'm at in my career. It's always the goal to get to a big show. It's always the goal to make money. I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. If I go out and knock out Chris Hardman, a tough PFL vet, I got another fight scheduled March 15th against David Gardner. He's an older guy that's been around. You fought in some really big shows early on. I guess he's world famous in Japan. Like, you ever hear that shirt like, hey, I'm famous in Japan? I guess this guy is that guy. So I fight him March 15th for the WXC, and then April 18th, there's talk about a rematch versus Carl Deaton.
Ooh.
So that, I mean, they're gonna have to show me some money to make it worth my while. I'm not gonna do it for $1,000. But man, I get on a 3-fight win streak. I mean, the sky's the limit for the Guitar Hero, man. Sean Shelby, the UFC matchmaker, Mick Maynard, UFC matchmaker, Dana White. Regardless of my performance, they loved me. They told me they loved me. I made weight every single time, and I did 4 short notice fights. Do you know how fucking hard it is to make weight 4 times on short notice at the highest level? It's fucking tough. I fought the toughest guys, and I went down a weight class. I did literally everything they asked for, but unfortunately, from a business standpoint, I just wasn't winning. So maybe I go out, get 3, 4, 5 wins, and Sean Shelby calls me up and says, "Hey, man, we got to fight against Jim Miller on short notice. You want it?" Fucking done. Guitar Hero shows up, make weight, and throwing bombs.
Hey, I can see Guitar Hero, Jim Miller, UFC 300, Bobby, if
Ooh, hey
Bobby
man,
pulls up.
hey, I tell you what, if I well, it's I think that's going to be a little too soon. I don't know when 300 is, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough fights by then. But Danny, if I get 4 or 5 wins in a row here in 2024, I mean, by the end of the year, I might be getting the call again. And it's not, and I'm not UFC or bust anymore. Early in my career, I was UFC or bust. It's either I'm getting to the UFC or I'm not doing anything. I had an offer from the PFL to be in their tournament for $1 million. I turned it down. I had an offer to fight for one, turned it down. I didn't want to do that shit. I had an offer from, or not one, I'm sorry. I had an offer from Bellator. I had fought for them. I was 1-0. I had a knockout from them. I turned it down. It was UFC or bust. Now it's make money or bust. And I don't care if it's in the PFL, if it's in the UFC, if it's in another organization overseas. I just want to travel, have fun. And at the end of the day, I want to make some money.
All right, so a lot on my end to break down. So you're currently double booked. Am I hearing that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then so your path is Carson Hardman. Remind me your second opponent.
David Gardner.
And that's what date, what promotion?
That'll be March 15th for the WXC in Southgate, Michigan.
Okay, got it. And then you mentioned Carl D, and you guys, there was some animosity in that first fight. He had a UFC stint, just got released from the UFC. I would love to see that rematch. And I'm assuming that the hard feelings between you guys has not gone anywhere.
Dude, at the end of the day, I lost to Carl Deaton fair and square, man. And that's one thing that I'm really good at more than most is separating my emotions. Carl Dean's a tough motherfucker, man. I don't like him personally. I think he's a shit person. And at the end of the day, that I might have lost that fight, but at least I was able to wake up and I know deep down that I am a good person. He's just not a good person. He's a snake. I would love to get that loss back, but at the same time, I need to be smart about my own career and making money. And if I go up and I lose to Carl Deaton again, which could happen, my hopes of getting to another big show are gone. So the promoter that wants me to fight Carl Deaton better make it worth my while.
Transitioning into this fight with Carson Hardman, have you gotten to watch the footage on him and what stands out to you? What gives you the advantage over him?
My experience. I mean, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Carson Hardman's like a weird, goofy striker. He switches his stance a lot. He has very awkward movement, and his best attribute besides being awkward and weird is his toughness, man. This guy's been dropped in almost every one of his fights, and every time somebody rushes in to finish him, they get caught in something. And like Baba Jeet, man, a friend of mine, fought him, beating his ass, kicked him in the head, dropped him, hit him in the body, hurt him, throws a spinning back fist, hits Hardman like right here, breaks his arm, loses the fight.
Mm.
Before that, fucking guy hits Hardman with an overhand left. Plants Hardman on his back, rushes in for the finish. Hardman reaches under, catches the heel hook, finish. Like, that's the difference. When I say experience, that's the difference. When I hurt, not if I hurt Carson, because I'm going to hit this motherfucker. And he's a disrespectful little cocky asshole, too, by the way. Like, after my boy Baba Jeet beat the fuck out of him, breaks his own arm beating the fuck out of him, Carson, he's holding his arm down. Carson's standing over him, give him a double bird, tell him to go back to his country, dude. You're fucking white trash, bro. You told my guy to go back to his country. We're talking about an Indian guy that came over from India that all he's trying to do is fight and make a better family for himself and for his family. And you want to shit talk him after he whooped your ass? Carson, you told him to go back to India. I'm sending you back to the trailer park, Playboy.
Fair enough. I always love to see this side of Justin Jaynes, because I think you're definitely one of the nice guys of MMA at time, or at least one of the good guys of MMA is how I
Sure,
put
sure, sure.
it. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think when your opponent is kind of bringing out the trash talk, that's when you send it back. So talk to me. There's clearly some animosity between you and Carson Hardman.
Yeah, I just don't like, dude. I'm a martial artist. I'm a mixed martial artist, man. And regardless if we're shit talking before the fight, even after I fought Carl Deaton, man, he came over, put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, man, are we squashed? Like, can we go elk hunting?" And I look up at him very calmly. I was like, "Hey, Carl, we're never gonna go elk hunting, man." And it's I don't really care for the guy. Like, if I saw him on the street, I'd probably say what's up. But it's this guy, dude. I just don't like people, man. I've seen where Babajit comes from. I lived in Mumbai, India for 2 months, man. We're talking about a real third world country. We're talking about America is so privileged and they don't understand. That's like all these people talking, oh, Sean, they hurt my feelings. Oh, Sean's talking about gays. He's talking about trans. Regardless if you agree with him or not, he's speaking how he feels. And I'm not saying that I agree with him. I have gay friends. I have lesbian friends. I have trans friends. I have friends across the board. But he's speaking his mind, and for you to be offended by that, and that's what's ruining your day. Hey, go to India and walk down the street, and you'll see some people having a fucking real bad day. They don't have a house. They don't have. There's guys pissing and shitting in the street because they don't have a toilet. That's a real problem to me. So when Baba G takes all his money and his emotion and his hard work and he puts into MMA and he comes across, the Pacific Ocean to fight Carson Hardman in his hometown, and it's not like Carson beat him up. Like, watch the fight, dude. Baba G beats the fuck out of him, drops him a bunch, and then at the end of the fight, Baba G's sitting there with his knee down, holding his arm because his fucking arm is broken, and he stands over top of him, double birds him, and tells him to go back to his country. You're a disrespectful little motherfucker, dude. Baba G's a better person than you. He's a better fighter than you, and now all you've done is reignite the fire in Justin Jaynes, and it's going to be taken out on Carson Hardman February 10th.
So we're getting the revenge Justin Jaynes in this fight.
Yeah, man, it's like, and sometimes, and that's how I kind of was at with Carl Deaton, and my emotions got the better of me in this fight, but I'm much more calculated now, and I'm just gonna fight the way I fight. With the Carl Deaton fight, I remember, all right, hit this, I want to knock this guy out, I want to send him in the stands, I want to rip his head off. I don't have that. But what I do have is letting him know that I'm on point, I'm sharp, and I'm going to do damage, and I'm going to talk shit before the fight. I'm going to talk shit during the fight. I'm going to talk shit after the fight. And if him or any of his posse or his family have anything, I'll send them back to the trailer park too.
Fair enough. He's moving down from welterweight. He's been a welterweight his whole career. He's fought at middleweight. He hasn't fought at 55 before. You've obviously fought 55, 45 throughout your career. Do you anticipate having the size disadvantage in this fight?
Honestly, I always have the size disadvantage. I'm only 5'7". Everybody I've ever fought, whether it's at 45, 55, 70, I fought as high as 85. I'm always the smaller guy. But I'll tell you this, Danny, I'm a strong motherfucker. And when I put my hands on him and I grab a hold of him, he's going to realize he's in a cage with a man and not a boy. And when he realizes that, that's when his night's going to start coming to an end.
Talk to me about Sean Strickland. Do you think he won that fight against Dricus Du Plessis?
I thought he did. I had a 2-2 going into the fourth, and I've only watched it once. So, I don't know if you're familiar with Jesse on Fire, another big podcast. He has a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Right before our show, I was doing a show with him as well. And, we talked about this and, about how they were scoring. Jesse scored it 3-2 against Sean, but when he rewatched it, he went back against his original judgment. So I had it personally 2-2 going into the fifth, and I thought Sean's aggression really came out. I know it wasn't technical. I know it looked sloppy, but guys, you're talking about two guys that are at all-out war. There's nothing more in wrestling and grappling and striking. Like, at the end of the day, he left it all out there. He swung for the fences. It didn't look pretty, but it is what he had to do. I thought Sean Strickland won the fight, and I'd love to see the rematch.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And obviously, I ask because you guys both train together at Extreme Couture. Who've been your main training partners this camp?
Oh man, I wish I could go through and just break them all down because I know I'm going to forget some. There's this guy named Cody Solka, man. He's dude. This guy just comes in and puts a wrestling pace on me all freaking day, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. He's in my face, fucking grinding, taking me down. This guy's smaller than me too. Very, very frustrating. We got obviously one of my coaches, Roman Isbell. He's been putting on the gloves, giving me this Carson Hardman look. We have bare knuckle professional fighter Jordan Christensen coming in. He's taking a coaching role in this fight and a training partner role in this fight for me, man. He's been crazy. A new guy that I've been working with, his name's Nick. He's a black belt under Extreme Couture. He has his pro debut coming up. He's been showing up every Tuesdays and Thursdays, including today, to make sure I'm getting my work, to make sure I'm getting my rounds. Man, who else, man? I hate that. I hate being asked that because, fuck, I can go into Andrew Jacoby, who's my athletic trainer, taking care of my neck. It's not necessarily my training partner, but we're talking about an athletic trainer, a world-class athletic trainer that works with NBA athletes, take care of my neck, take care of my rehab. We got Leanne O'Malley, a boxer that I train with in the gym. She's a female that meal preps for me every week, man. This Justin Jaynes, this Guitar Hero isn't me doing my own thing. I have a crew of people that are helping me in all different dynamics of the game. Like I said, Leanne making my food. I have Andrew taking care of all my injuries. I have Roman putting together game plans, putting the gloves on, finding the right sparring partners. So to break it down and give credit to 2 or 3 people isn't fair. And I don't like to do that because I know I'm going to miss somebody. And I know when somebody's watching this, they're going to see like, hey, dude, I fucking did this, and this for him. And it's like, I just can never remember everybody because there's just so many people that put this ship together. And I couldn't be more grateful to be a part of Team Extreme Couture.
Fair enough. Love to hear that. Before I let you go, I have to ask, you got to be pumped up about the Lions.
Bro, okay, let me go on a rant now about the fucking Lions, and I have been a Lions diehard fan since before I was born, essentially. When I was a baby, my mom would put me in Lions jerseys and stuff. And I remember when I was in high school, my dream of more than MMA, more than anything, I wanted to be a professional football player for the Detroit Lions. In 2008, my freshman year in college, they go 0 for 16. They had Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders in the 90s, man. This has just been a team that I can relate to, and I think that's why they're the nation's favorite team right now. We've all been there. We've all had these rough patches of life, where we're getting beat up year after year, time after time. We're just getting slobber knocked. We're a joke almost. And then something happens, something changes, and we start winning and winning and winning. Matt Patricia's last year with the Lions, he had 5 wins. Dan Campbell's first year with the Lions, he had 3 wins. Second year, he had 9 wins. This year, I think we're at 15 wins right now, or 14 or 15 wins, including the postseason. This Dan Campbell stresses, this is all grit. This is grit. This is determination. This is perseverance. And I tell you what, as a Lions fans, I've persevered, and it inspires me to see how, I mean, dude, they're 1 game away from the biggest football game in the whole world, that the whole world's going to be tuning in. Fucking people in Europe have probably never even heard of the Detroit Lions, and they're going to be tuning in to the Super Bowl to watch these guys. These guys have been underdogs just like me their whole career as long as I've been alive, and now finally they're coming on top, and I want to take that, and I want to take that grit, and I watch them, and dude, when they win, dude, I know it sounds stupid because this is professional sports teams, they don't give a fuck about me, but the inspiration I get, dude, I'm tearing up every time they're playing. They get touchdowns, I'm fucking crying because I see so much of myself in that team. It's like, man, I've been down, I've been beat up, I've fucking hand surgery, neck surgery, nose surgery, fucking hurt my feet, hurt this, hurt that, but I'm still ticking, and I'm still going to try and get to the top just like they're doing.
Fair enough. I will say, obviously, as a Birds fan, season did not end my way, but I think of the 4 teams left, Detroit is absolutely America's team right now, so I agree with you on that. Justin, it's a pleasure as always. Wishing you the best of luck. I'm hoping you can kind of go on the career resurgence that maybe, or the path that the Lions are going on right now. I hope you can go on that path as well, where you got knocked down a few times, but finally make that, I guess, kind of ascend to the top in a little bit. Justin, my final question. Or go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and that's what it is. I'm really trying to do something remarkable right here, considering I've lost 6 fights in a row now, and when I say it out loud, it's almost embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. I'll be honest. Even some people ask, like, "Oh, you were in the UFC? Like, what was your record?" And it's like, I don't even like to say, you win some, you lose some. Like, I'm so embarrassed by it. I'm at the bottom of the bottom. For me to get out of this hole that I'm in and try to get back to a big organization like the PFL or back to the UFC, if I'm able to do that sometime this year or next, it'll be an incredible feat. And I hope everybody understands how big of a fucking deal it is and how low I am and I have been. And I'm not saying I have been. I am, dude. I'm at the bottom of the barrel right now, dude. I haven't won a fight since June 20th, 2020 was the last last time I fucking won a fight. And Danny, let me tell you this, I can fucking fight. I'm not a fucking chump. I'm not a fucking pussy. I can bang with the fucking best of them in the world. Unfortunately, I'm just going through a little dry spell right now, and I hope you as witness and everybody else can witness me come out of this hole and get back to where I need to be.
Well, I'll certainly be rooting for you, of course. And so, final question: your fight February 10th, Carson Hardman, Justin Jaynes versus Carson Hardman. Justin, give me your official prediction.
My official prediction is I want to take this guy into deep water. I don't want to finish him in the first round. I want to be like a lion playing with my food. I want to beat him up. I want to talk shit. I mean, I'm working specific things for Carson Hardman right now where I can put him in positions and beat him up. And not only do I want to physically beat him up, I want to beat him up mentally so bad that he looks for ways out of this fight. And then there he gives me a way out, and I'm going to say, nah, not yet, buddy. And I'm going to punish him just a little bit more. I want Carson Hardman to remember the day he fought Justin Jaynes.
Fair enough. Well, Justin, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Thank you so much for taking the time as always. Any socials you want to shout out, go right ahead. I know you got this new podcast too, so floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Me and a buddy of mine, a huge UFC fan, Josefa Kapadia. Him and I just started a show called the 10-7. That's TENSEVEN MMA show. We go on Mondays and Fridays at 1:30. Mondays we break down the event from the weekend. Fridays we talk about the event. So it's like the Mondays the breakdown of what happened over the weekend, and then Fridays the breakdown. Usually we do it it's going to be after the weigh-ins, and we talk about the upcoming card. Look it up. Check us up on YouTube. We're live at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, Mondays, Fridays. And socials, you can look up Justin Jaynes on Instagram. The handle is JAY09MI, or Justin Jaynes or Justin Michael on Facebook, whatever you prefer. And if you guys have any questions, man, here's one thing I want to say, Danny, is anytime anybody, whether it's a fan, whether it's a famous person, whether it's a kid, it doesn't matter. If they send me an email, I will respond. And that's one thing that I try to connect with my fans, that, I get guys asking me like, hey man, like just random questions, and I will respond. I have 100% respond rate. So guys, if you ever want to reach out, for some motivation, to ask some questions, feel free, reach out, and eventually I will get back to you.
I can 100% attest to the 100% return rate.
That's how you and I got connected.
100%. No, I definitely DM'd you and said, hey, can we do an interview? And here we are.
100%, baby.
But anyways, Justin, thank you so much for taking the time. Guys, Justin, the Guitar Hero Jaynes, returns to action in Salt Lake City, not California. In Salt Lake City, that's at Fierce FC 30. Fights Carson Hardman on February 10th. Justin, thanks so much for taking the time. Best of luck to you, my man.
I appreciate you, Danny. Have a good night.
You too.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.